now we're going to take questions from you all. So if you have questions about what Kash just talked about Sushi, about his 8-factor strategy, or about the crypto markets in general, just post them in the chat and we'll try and answer them for you. So we'll just give you a minute to ask any questions in there. And so, Alvin, I can see that you said the broadcast has been not working very well for you. So I'm really sorry about that. We'll be sending a replay out tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch it in full.
There's a bit of a lag, so there might be more for any questions.
Kash, maybe I can start with a question quickly. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions we had in the emails that we were sent was, what's your advice when the crypto markets dip? Like, what do you do? Like, if it's me, I probably panic. Yeah. How about you?
Well, naturally, a lot of people panic once you invest in something and it dips. You panic because you feel like you're going to lose all your money. But I actually see it as an opportunity to accumulate more at lower prices. So because I'm in this for the long run, I know there are people out there who think crypto is a get-rich-quick scheme. Even though you can get rich quick in crypto, I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as a get-rich-quick scheme. I implement something called like a dollar cost averaging strategy, where you buy, say you have £1,000 to invest, for example, you divide your purchases into periodic purchases. So, for example, you buy every week £100 worth for 10 weeks. That way, you don't go all in at these prices, and that way you can capitalize on any like potential price drops.
Yeah.
So the main thing is, I'm in this for the long run. I'm not here for like short-term profits, even though you can make very quick gains. I'm really in this for the next 4 or 5 years, even further. I mean, Kathy Woods from like ARK Invest sees Bitcoin hitting 500,000, and she was saying this back when Bitcoin fell from $60,000 to $30,000. You know, that's a 50% drop, but she's still saying she's got conviction that's going to 500K, and she's obviously not the only one.
Yeah, it's worth saying that something you've been advising members to do is take a part of one of the portfolio picks, so sell part of the holding to sort of make we did it today with 2 of the coins to make 250% gains, but then you leave the rest of it to ride risk-free, essentially.
Exactly. So when you sometimes like your investment doubles, you can take out some your initial investment and leave the rest so you can ride the market, and essentially that becomes a risk-free bet on the market.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got some questions coming, so I'll just start from the top. So Paul asks, can you explain crypto cycles? And I guess that might fall into, we were talking about one of your picks today, and you were saying that, it needs to cool off. So I guess that feeds into the market cycles of, what I thought and that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on market cycles?
What I'd say to that is, well, crypto does seem to trade in cycles, and that is perhaps due to the fact that Bitcoin, the mining rewards get halved every 4 years. So in essence, they become more scarce every 4 years. So what this means that the asset becomes more scarce. So it actually gets talked about in the media a lot. People start talking about it. They see it as a hedge against inflation. So they buy up because it's a very scarce asset. For that reason, there are cycles in crypto, I would say. But if you look at every cycle, for example, you could go from $20 to $100 and crash back down to $80, and then $80 to $2,000, crash back down to $150. But then if you look at the long term, it's gone from $50 all the way to now $40,000, $50,000. The long-term trajectory is up, even though there might be short-term price fluctuations. It is very difficult to time the markets in these cycles, but as someone like me who's a long-term investor, I don't get worried. Like I mentioned earlier, I buy more when it crashes. I actually see it as an opportunity to accumulate more at lower prices. So I'm in this long run.
Yeah, and that's because the cryptos that you're investing in, you have faith in them because you've done the research. So you're not just buying kind of meme coins and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's worth saying, like, zoom out on your crypto charts, put it to years rather than days on the.
Yeah, so it could look like this. So there could be short-term price fluctuations, but on the long term, the price is upwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a look at. Got some more questions. So John asks, where do you recommend purchasing sushi at that level? So I'm guessing he is talking about exchanges.
Yeah. So I would recommend, maybe I use Binance a lot. I use FTX a lot. It's also available on Coinbase. So those are my top three exchanges, I would say. I can see another question here on can you buy on eToro? Some of these other platforms, I'm not exactly sure if you can invest in the actual asset itself, or whether it's like a digital product that they've created that kind of represents the crypto. I would definitely recommend owning your assets instead of using these platforms that give you an asset that represents the crypto. As people say, if you don't own your private keys, you don't technically own your crypto. So one thing I'll definitely recommend is, if you do buy on these crypto exchanges, including Binance, FTX, or Coinbase, maybe withdraw it into your own private wallet. That way, for example, if it gets hacked or if something happens, you have access to your coins and you don't have to rely on a crypto exchange to.
Yeah, and if you're new, it's worth pointing out that Kash has written a guide for his members about all the different options for crypto wallets and that kind of thing. So if you do end up joining the service, that guide will walk you through all that stuff. Let's have a look at the next question. Tim asks, presumably you have made a lot of money from crypto, so why are you doing this to make money? I'm guessing he's saying, why are we running the service when you should be driving around in a Lamborghini somewhere?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the honest answer is that I'm genuinely very interested. So being one of the only people in my friendship group who got into Bitcoin early on, I've been always trying to get my friends to join, because I try to help them understand it, because I see this as a massive opportunity. I'm the type of person who, if I find something cool, I always tell other people about it. This might be a bit odd, but recently I bought these VR goggles, and I just think they're amazing. And I've just been trying to convince all my friends to buy one so we can play ping pong together. So it's just one of those things where I try to, because I've got such an interest in it, I try to spread that experience and knowledge to other people.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of the community with these kind of services. The services are obviously about making money, and the recommendations making money. But another massive part is being in those, in the private Telegram group, talking to people, answering each other's questions, getting excited together when the market goes up and that kind of thing, and being able to be in a community of people you trust as well, because you can just go on Reddit and Twitter and stuff, but there's like we talked about, there's so many scams and stuff out there, and people not doing the proper type of analysis, I'd say as well, just sort of buying stuff because they see it on social media. So I hope that answers your question.
One thing I'd just like to add is that I appreciate Tim's skepticism, but because there are a lot of people out there who make these huge promises, they say, oh, you can do this and that. But for us here at Crypto with Cash, we're looking at long-term investments. We're not here to pump dump coins. Naturally, when you're in the crypto space, seeing how these platforms work, they actually send you loads of adverts that are usually scammy. So they would say, oh, we're going to pump a certain coin at a certain time. They promise short-term profits, guaranteed profits. There's no such thing. I'd be very wary of those. Here with Crypto with Cash, we're literally here for the long term, looking at investments 2, 3, 4, 5 years and further. So that's the thing I would say.
Yeah, it's the idea of buying a company like Amazon early on. You would want to buy Amazon stock early on and hold it to today, basically.
Yeah.
But then also taking some short-term gains to take some of the money off the table. Okay, the next question is from Lutho, and they ask, which is better, trading, investment, or mining crypto? So there's 3 quite distinct ways of approaching the crypto markets there.
Yeah, I would classify myself as an investor as opposed to a trader. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to time the markets. Of course, there are times where you are in a lot of profit. You can take some money off the table, lock in, take out your initial investment and just leave the rest. But I would classify myself as an investor because, again, I'm here for the long term. Mining crypto may not be as profitable as it once used to be anymore because there's just so many people doing it. Unless you have access to countries like Tajikistan or Uzbekistan, where electricity is a lot cheaper than it is here, then maybe mining crypto is actually still profitable there, but maybe not so much here in the UK.
Yeah, I'd also add to that, because I looked into this as well, is you have to buy a lot of like graphics cards and things like that, computer equipment basically, and those markets, the graphics card market is really expensive at the moment. So while it's possible, it's just really hard to get hold of the equipment you need to actually mine cryptocurrencies profitable. So you're having to put up that initial money, and then it takes months to kind of make it back. But I mean, it's doable. People do it. You see it on Reddit and stuff. And just day trading. What do you think about day trading in crypto markets?
Day trading, again, it's very difficult to time these markets. There's also a lot of fees involved if you are buying and selling like multiple times during the day.
Yeah.
For that reason, I don't really engage in that sort of activity. But I would say if there's a thing that some people do where you say you have £1,000, you invest £800 of it, and with £200 you can try day trading. But again, as with anything, number one rule is only invest what you can afford to lose. But yeah, if you want, you can have a go at day trading, but don't use your whole investment amount with it.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is working out what temperament you have. For me, it's definitely long-term investing and not day trading. So I think it's a personal thing as well about how you manage your emotions and that kind of thing. Right, let's have a look for another question. So John asks, do you have a recommended source or sources to gain the requisite knowledge about individual coins? So I'm guessing he's asking like decent websites to go to get sort of stats information. Where do you go to kind of research coins? So maybe if you can give him your top kind of websites for that kind of thing.
Yeah, one direct source I would recommend is maybe reading the white papers of the actual project of the actual projects. So you can read through that. Alternatively, given how like there's a strong community in crypto and crypto projects, you can actually join their Telegram pages, Discord pages, Twitter pages, and actually ask questions directly to the CEOs, developers, community members who are actually helping to develop the project. You can talk to them directly. That's the great thing about crypto. You're actually able to talk to these people and ask them questions that you may have. So probably the best way is to join their communities, ask as many questions as you have, and take it from there.
Yeah, I'd also add if you're looking at DeFi, well, also like CoinGecko is a good place just to follow crypto prices broadly, and DeFi Pulse is a website I really like for DeFi cryptos specifically, there's a good information about total value locked, which is part of Kash's strategy. Okay, so let's have a look for another question. You've already answered the question from Warwick about eToro. David asks, as the UK banks have all stopped payments in and out of Binance and some other exchanges, what's the best way of transferring pounds into Binance?
Well, one thing I would think, UK banks, as far as I know, have actually stopped payments in and out of Binance, but they haven't done so for FTX or Coinbase. So one thing you could do is maybe deposit pounds into Coinbase, exchange it into USDT, which is Tether, which is like a stable coin. Each one Tether represents $1, and then you can transfer that from Coinbase into Binance and then buy from there.
Yeah, I mean, or you can just buy on Coinbase, or FTX has probably as many crypto options as Binance, but I know a lot of people like to use Binance still.
Yes, the number one exchange.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, David. Okay, so Des asks, can this be exchanged for cash? Who do you sell to? So I guess what he's asking is, the basics of buying a cryptocurrency like SUSHI. So if you could, what would be the sort of basic step-by-step process of buying SUSHI and then selling it?
Yeah, so you deposit pounds into Coinbase, you go in the market, change your pounds into SUSHI, and then when you want to sell, you go into the same market and you exchange SUSHI for GBP or USDT, or USDT being Tether dollars. And then you can literally just withdraw from the exchange into your bank account. Of course, that doesn't include Binance, as we have seen, but Coinbase and FTX, you can do that.
Yeah.
The question, sorry, I was going to say, it says here, who do you sell to? Well, you just sell to other participants in the market. Some of these coins are being traded. They're receiving billions of dollars in volume per day. So there's always going to be someone who's willing to buy or sell your coins.
Yeah, like if you have an experience in the forex markets, trading currencies is exactly the same process, and a lot of the apps and stuff for crypto now are so smooth. The transactions are very easy to do. It's not like sort of 5 years ago when we were running the other service when it was quite complicated to buy cryptocurrencies and sell them. Okay, let's see. So Bismar asks, "Hi guys, I'm a newbie in the crypto world. I have accounts on Binance and Kucoin. Is it safe to leave the crypto on those platforms so I can easily trade or lock in to earn interest? Cheers." So Kash, what's your answer to that?
Is it safe to leave the crypto on those platforms so I can easily trade or lock in interest? I've actually got accounts with both Binance and Kucoin. I don't really use Kucoin much anymore since Binance basically offers anything and everything that you need to do in crypto. Is it safe to leave the crypto on those platforms? I would say that if you are taking the right measures to protect your account, yes, generally speaking. The safest option would be to withdraw your funds into your own private wallet, not leave anything on exchanges, because there is a chance, of course, that exchanges can get hacked, and there is no guarantee that these exchanges will reimburse your losses. In that regard, for Binance, if you are using two-factor authentication, so that means if you are logging in, you receive a text message every time you want to log in with a code, or you use an authenticator app that changes every 30 seconds or so, which you have to use on your phone, for example. It's an app that you download. Every 30 seconds, a different code pops up, and you use that code to log into your account. As long as you are taking these measures, not clicking on any sort of links that you're unfamiliar with from emails and things like that, then you should be okay, generally speaking. Of course, like I said, the safest option would be to withdraw your funds, but generally speaking, you can also leave them on the exchange.
Maybe for really large amounts, you might want to put them into cold storage.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Paul says he's just bought some sushi on Coinbase, so nice one, Paul. Tom asks, "Hi Duncan, and Kash. When booking profits, do you convert to stable coins? What stable coins do you recommend?" That's a good question, especially with all the news about Tether.
Yeah, well, you can convert it into, on Coinbase, you can turn it to GBP. On other exchanges, you can turn it into Tether, BUSD as well. BUSD is Binance's stable coin. USDT is the most popular stable coin. You could hold on to the stable coin just so you can invest later if the market crashes, or you could always, of course, send it back to Coinbase and withdraw your funds all the same.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a preference to which stable coin you use?
I use USDT a lot. So that's the coin that I use, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Elaine asks, she's just saying, I just want to say thanks. Your manual was very educational. I learnt a lot that she never knew. So thanks for saying that, Elaine. Paul asks about a few different cryptos. There's two I'd like to highlight: ADA and AAVE. Are they cryptos that what are your thoughts on those two?
So,
they're probably the most popular.
AAVE and ADA, I think is Cardano. AAVE. To answer you very briefly, I would say they're very good projects. Solana, more so than others, I would say. ADA, which is Cardano, I know they've been developing a smart contract platform for a few years now, and I think within the next month or so that will be coming out. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs, especially as there are other competitors on the market now with Binance, Neo, and Solana. Generally speaking, I do like those coins. So yeah.
Yeah, because ADA is supposed to be the sort of main Ethereum competitor, isn't it? But it's only just launching smart.
Yeah, I would have hoped to see them launch their smart contract platform a lot sooner. I mean, it's been in development for a few years now. Other crypto projects have, managed to do that in a lot less time.
Yeah.
But as it is coming out in the next month or so, I'm excited to see how that does. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how it does. Yeah. Let's see. Robert asks, can you recommend an AI crypto trading bot? I mean, do you have an experience with using bots for crypto trading? There's a lot out there, actually, isn't there?
Yeah, there are a lot out there. It's a difficult one to answer because there is no one like AI crypto trading bot. As you said, there's many. Unfortunately, given how popular crypto is, there are going to be a lot of scams out there which overpromise and guarantee profits. I would suggest staying away from anything that guarantees profits. AI crypto trading bots. I know there are ones out there there are ones that are profitable out there, but usually they tend to be very expensive. So it might take a while before you make back the money that you spent on the trading bot. There's nothing that I can recommend today, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I don't know anything about that, so I'll keep quiet. Okay, so Lee asks, he says, hi guys, in the newsletter you obviously recommend a crypto and its buy up to price. Do you also tell people when to sell? So let you answer that, Kash, because today...
actually, we sent 2 sell alerts today. We locked in over 140% profit on each. So we took our initial investment plus some profit, and then we're going to leave the rest to ride the markets risk-free, essentially. So yes, to answer your question, would you tell people when to sell as well?
Yeah, it's more so the newsletter is every 2 weeks, and the sell alerts are as and when Kash thinks position should be sold. So today was one of those days. Aid says HSBC still allows transfers into Binance for anybody that is looking to deposit into Binance. Scott says, in your manual you mention hardware and software wallets. Is it one or the other or both? So I guess he's asking about the difference between hardware and software wallets. If you just...
Yeah, so hardware wallets are something that look like this. Obviously, this is a little mouse, but it is shaped like a USB sort of device. Yeah. It's used so that you have to physically verify transactions if you want to make one. Software wallets are like a little extension that you install on your browser, so that if you want to send something, it asks you, do you want to approve this transaction? You click yes. They're both very popular for larger amounts of money. I would recommend hardware wallets, but software wallets are very good as well.
Yeah, they're really easy. I've used MetaMask, which is a really popular software wallet. Yeah, and I no longer leave my laptop unattended in cafes.
Yeah.
But okay, so I hope that answered your question, Scott. Okay. So Steve says, firstly, thanks for this webinar. It's very interesting and very much appreciated. Well, cheers for attending, Steve. Secondly, I may have missed it, but will there be a maximum total of sushi that will become available, like with Bitcoin? And is there a factor to it? So I guess he's asking what's the total market supply of sushi? Like, is there a limit like Bitcoin?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that sushi is capped, so there will only be a certain amount available. The good thing about sushi is that because they're developing so many new products, the more the platform is in use, the more that people who actually stake sushi will be able to earn. So obviously the team members own some of the supply, and they are vested for a certain number of years. But because they're using some of the funds for marketing, for example, they're also using some of the supply to build these new products. And the more that the platform is used, the more that it will be scarce basically. And because you are able to actually stake Sushi on some of these platforms, and some of our members are staking on Binance, that actually kind of incentivizes people to hold onto their tokens, because then you can actually earn interest on your coin. So that way, a lot of the supply is actually stored away in staking platforms. So
yeah, so it's scarce in the sense that it's people are holding on to it, and there's lots of incentives to hold on to it. Okay, but so hopefully that answered your question, Steve. Phil says, great discussion, guys. Some communities seem to be polarizing and confrontational. What are some of the benefits and types of people in your Telegram community? So I think we can both speak to this, but how do you see our Telegram community, Kash?
Yeah, I like it because we help to answer each other's questions. We share each other's success. We ask questions about, like we saw earlier in the chat, some people asking about wallets, staking, things like that. We all help each other. I think those are one of the main positives about it, really. I really like our community. There's people from different levels of experience, each helping each other. And I would say we're confrontational is the furthest thing for our group.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely supportive. And also, I just mentioned, I think I'm going to mention this a bit later as well, but one of the members, Graham, literally has written, I think, 2 guides, just sort of short guides, how-to guides for people for 2 issues, and just shared that with other members. He just kind of did that off his own back. So it's that kind of space, and like asking questions, no matter how stupid they are. Like I ask loads of stupid questions, and then sharing news and stuff like that, and talking about what's going on in the markets.
Yeah.
And it helps with the emotional roller coaster of something like crypto, where it is a volatile market. And if you've got like a like-minded group together to kind of ride it with, it makes it a lot more manageable, and you can stick to the cryptos that are in the portfolio and you have faith in, kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember just a few weeks ago when the markets, there was a market downturn. Some members were asking questions like, what's going on? Are we still sticking to the game plan? And as I mentioned before, since we are in this for the long term, we actually see price dips as an opportunity to accumulate more. So that actually helps to calm some nerves and actually see dips as an opportunity rather than a way to panic. Yeah.
And also we should say, like, you started putting in. So there's the buy up to price in the newsletters for each pick, and then there's the lower buy orders, which are kind of what they sound like. Do you want to just explain them, people, quickly?
Yeah. So say, for example, where crypto is trading today at $10, we would also set some buy orders at certain key levels below $10, so that if the market does turn down, your buy orders will get filled, and your average buying price will be lower than what it is today. This happened, in few weeks that passed, and a lot of our members were actually able to make very quick gains, which is what some of the sell orders today were. They bought lower and were able to turn around quick profits. Those buy orders lowered down are very useful.
Yeah, and again, it's because you've got faith in the long-term potential of these cryptos, exactly. So you're just kind of taking advantage of dips. Okay, let's see. Okay, so David is asking about the offer, and he's been replied to by Josh, who's moderating. Tim says, at some point the government will introduce digital currency. So then what happens to crypto? So I don't know, people might have seen this in the news, like governments all around the world, including the UK and the Bank of England, are talking about introducing their own kind of cryptocurrencies pegged to the local currency, so pound coin. But it would be, I would imagine it would be like privately controlled by the Bank of England or something like that. So what are your thoughts on that kind of thing, Kash?
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like when those are rolled out, for the average person, it won't be much different at all. So it'd be like, using your card to pay for something. You're not physically touching the money there. You're just using your card. The payment's all digital. So for the average person, I don't think it would make much of a difference. When it comes to what happens to crypto, I don't think much would change at all. The difference between crypto and maybe like a centralized digital currency is that with crypto, it's decentralized. There is no one entity controlling everything, whereas with a digital currency introduced by like a central bank, the central bank is essentially the entity that controls it. There are some dangers, of course. There are discussions where people say, oh, a central bank could stop a certain person from receiving funds, or they could be locked out of the system, for example. These are the dangers that actually cryptos are helping to avoid, because there is no centralized entity in many of the projects, and there is no way to stop a coin from existing. So
yeah,
I think those are the distinct differences there.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's some kind of war between central banks offering high interest rates and cryptocurrencies offering high interest rates. So interest rates go up generally, and that's better for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a few people asking about an offer to join the service, and I'm going to talk people through exactly what's involved in the service in a few minutes once we finish with the questions, and also give you the chance to join the service at the lowest price it's going to be from here on out. Let me just see if there's a few more questions, so we'll answer those. So Itu Meleng asks, what's your take on G999 coin, if you've heard of that, Kash?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard of that coin before, so I have nothing to say about that one. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Like I say, maybe get some sushi instead or as well.
But one thing I will say is, if you are looking to invest in the crypto project, the website that Duncan mentioned earlier, CoinGecko, is a very good one to go to. If you search up a coin and it doesn't appear on CoinGecko, that's usually a bad sign. It's a red flag. And the other thing I would say would be to perhaps stay away from the top 200 coins. Top 200 coins, even obviously, generally speaking, most people invest in top 20, top 50 coins. The lower down you go, the higher risk it becomes, and higher risk, higher rewards. But anything below 200, I would say, is a very big risk. So just be very careful.
Yeah, so you're saying like coins are generally listed in terms of market cap, like how much money is invested in them, and you'd stick to the ones with a lot, the top 200, basically. Yeah, I'm just repeating what you said.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So Gary asks, do you invest in ICOs? It's like being back in 2018. And is there a likelihood of coin giveaways like what happened with Binance for SUSHI, or has it already happened? And he says, thanks.
Yeah, I have invested in ICOs in the past. I would say it's very high risk because you're getting in at the ground level. I remember a couple of years ago, I actually invested in a dating platform crypto ICO because I remember, if you recall, there was like a hacking that happened for one of these dating platforms where a lot of people got exposed.
Right, okay. I do remember that, yeah.
And I was actually thinking, okay, a dating platform on the blockchain is unhackable. So I invested in the project. The mistake I made was that there was no MVP. So there was no product that existed. And I'm very happy to say that to this day, the platform still doesn't exist. No product exists. It's not even listed on the exchanges. So I lost my money on there. And that's why, the strategy helps to avoid things like that.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And back in 2018, 2017, like with all the ICO stuff, so many of them had no product. It was just promises, and and so many, like you showed earlier with the 1,600 dead cryptos. So many of them just dead. Okay, we're going to just answer a few more questions and then move on. Joe asks, how is crypto taxed, and how do HMIR track dealings? Can they?
So regulation and taxes with crypto is a great area, but generally speaking, I think they are taxed the same way as capital gains. So anything above the threshold, you will get taxed on. But it's a dynamic. It's a move. Like it can change at any moment. So definitely keep researching that, because it could change any day, especially now that crypto is in the limelight. There is going to be more regulation coming out, so that could change.
I'd also say with some of the interest generating stuff that does fall under income tax, but like there is guidelines on the government website. there some of the crypto stuff just doesn't fall quite into the guidelines.
Yeah, so it's a gray area. Like sometimes of airdrop, sometimes of staking. Like, how do you classify that? So maybe in a few months or maybe even years, that will be clarified.
Yeah. And I'd also say when he's asking, can they track you? I'd say yes, they can, as well, unless you're using a cryptocurrency like one of the privacy coins. But even then,
I would not avoid taxes on crypto, actually, especially because like some of these exchanges are actually legally obliged to pass your details on to these sort of institutions if they request it. So, I would not avoid paying taxes at all.
Yeah, pay your taxes and think of the NHS if you're in the UK. A few more questions. Simon asks, do you have any opinion on Zucoins, which Sam Volkering is involved in? Sam Volkering is a crypto investor.
Unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with Zucoins specifically. Again, I would maybe point you towards CoinGecko to see where it's ranked on that website and maybe take it from there. But unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with Zucoins. Yeah,
and you could also look at Zucoins through the lens of the 8-factor analysis to see if it holds up. Does it have a minimum viable product, partnerships, advisors, that kind of thing? Okay, let's see. So Steve, I don't know if this is a question. Yes, it is. Steve says, surely governments, so we're going back to the governments, surely governments introducing cryptos will help legitimize them on the whole, bring far more interest, help prices, and breed more trust and less skepticism in them. Has to be a good thing.
See, I would actually agree with that, because unfortunately with crypto, just naturally it's the scams and the hackings that gain most of the coverage, the media coverage. So a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to crypto. A lot of people are naturally very skeptical of new technologies, especially new investment opportunities that everyone seems to be talking about. So in that sense, I do think that governments introducing cryptos will help to legitimize them. I definitely agree, and I believe that in the long term, it will be very good for crypto.
Yeah, I agree with you too, and I think it's like almost an unfashionable opinion in the crypto space, because a lot of it, at least on Reddit, which I probably read too much, is just very sort of anti-government, and I do understand why, with all the corruption and things like that. But there's a lot of good things about government and that kind of thing, and like you say, and like regulation in a space that, like cryptos in the past and now somewhat, has been like a wild west where a lot of people have lost a lot of money as well as made a lot of money. Okay, so I don't think that's a question from Mark. It seems like we need to do a whole event on government digital currency. Simon asks a question, and I probably have this as the last question. So, I have found day trading difficult to profit from due to the fees taken in transactions. Do you have any advice on this process?
Yeah, I think one thing that differentiates us, like our crypto with cash product, with other crypto products, is that we're in this for the long term. We're not promising short-term gains or anything of that nature. We're here for 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. Of course, there are going to be times where we can make a lot of profit in the short term, take some money off the table. But day trading, as I mentioned before, is very difficult to time the market. As you mentioned, Simon, there are a lot of fees to take into consideration. One way would be to reduce the amount of trades that you make in a day, perhaps. That could help to reduce the fees. But yeah, day trading is very difficult. I think the official statistic is something like 90% of traders lose money.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. So that's why I don't classify myself as a trader. I'm more of an investor.
Yeah, again, it's a temperament thing, isn't it? And yeah, I'm with you on that long-term investing. Okay, well, thank you everybody for your questions, and we're going to say goodbye to Kash now. And thank you, Kash, for taking us through this strategy and answering everyone's questions.